Hey everybody, I'm Jim Fuge, and I'm going to go through Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page on guitar. Great. I love this guitar parts in this song, you know. I mean, obviously it's a drum thing for Bonham, but man, I tell you, the guitar playing in this is so freaking great. So, anyway, let's go through it. And I just want to say for the record, too, actually, there's a guy on the internet, on YouTube. He's not a, you know, we don't know each other, but I'm just saying he seems like a real nice guy, and he's a really good player too. His name is Johnny Piranha, like the fish that eats you alive. And I tell you, man, I have not seen anybody get this lead break that close. So I got to really go out, give some kudos to Johnny. He really, you know, I know a lot of people get this thing wrong too, by the way, and this guy did a great job getting it. But there is one or two things I do want to point out, just from an overall guitar playing standpoint in this lead break, which is why I'm doing the same video. So. You know, kudos to Johnny. Actually, did a great job. So anyway, Moby Dick. So, you know, you tune your E to a low D, of course, right? So the riff itself. I'm not going to go through the riff too much because I really just want to show you the leads. And then to G, but since you're a step down, you got to go right. And check this out. And he stretches this. See how we do that instead of going, because I'm pretty sure he goes. Slide into it. Okay, so let's go down to the leads. One of my, actually, believe it or not, one of some of my favorite Zeppelin guitar playing. I just love this, the way he plays these riffs, you know, and they're such great riffs. And the reason why, again, like that guy Johnny did a great job, Mr. Piranha. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to point out something on this lead break, which this guy Johnny got right anyway, which a lot of people, I have never seen anybody get this right. That's why I'm impressed with his playing. But I want to point something out about this, which goes a lot bigger than just the riff at hand. So bear with me a minute. So back, let's get into the riffing. All right, so it's okay, and then it's so it's 4 notes, and then it's G, F, D. Okay. Quick. All right. Little slide back. One of the things I want to point out here actually is, believe it or not, when he goes like this, that part, he really, it's really those 4 notes. He doesn't do it so fast that it comes like this. It's, those 4 notes are very distinct. I just want to make sure you realize that. So you make sure you get that G note in there. Slide back. All right, so back. Let's keep going on. Right? Then you pick down G note, and then you pick up the rest. D, A, G, which is a little bit of a tongue twister to play. See? It's a good thing we only have to do it twice, right? But what was I going to say about? There was something I was going to say about that. Oh, believe it or not, and I'll get into this later too, I think, I'm serious, I really think there's 2 guitars playing these riffs. Maybe not the first one, I don't know, maybe. But, and I'll prove it to you. Because when you hear him play it, especially towards the end you can hear this, when you listen to this, it's not echo. It just sounds like there's something else in there playing with them, such that like the notes aren't all there. I mean, there's something, you hear like other like overtones of notes that are playing. it's more on the other end part that you really hear this. But you can hear it in this part. Okay, so let's move on. Anyway, something really cool coming up. Okay, so now I've seen everybody get this one wrong. A lot of people get this right. Let's put it this way: I haven't seen anybody get this right until that guy Johnny Piranha played it. So, and actually, I used to play it like this myself. And then I used to go like this. This is a great mini lesson here, because this is really in key with the G. I was like, it's got to be that. It sounds pretty good too. So, so what I found out though when I started, I used to play like that when I was younger. But what I found out was, I listened to it more carefully, and he's actually doing the same thing with his fingers down below, which is totally dissonant. It doesn't make any sense musically, but it sounds great. Sometimes dissonant, if something's really dissonant, but it goes by so quick, it makes you like perk up your eyes and your ears and say, hey, what was that? Sometimes it's a great effect, especially if it's fast. It doesn't matter because it's fast. You're not going... Right? That sounds bad. But when you go like this... It sounds great. And it makes you perk up your eyes and ears, like I said, and say, hey, what was that? There's something not right about that riff. So anyway, what he does is he goes like this. Hammers, all hammers. Yes, it is those notes. And it's these notes too. And then he does it again. And then he does the A string too on the second time around. Okay? That really is the riff, 100% for sure. And that's amazing. So now what I want to talk about real quick is fingering. You know who does this too? Is Eddie Van Halen. You probably stole it from Jimmy Page. Sorry, Eddie, but it's probably true. You know, if you put your fingers in the same place on a riff and it goes by really fast, you know, you can have some cool effects, you know what I mean? Because Eddie Van Halen does this. I'm gonna morph into something for a minute on a lot of things, actually. And let's face it, it makes life easy because you don't have to keep moving your fingers around. You could just keep using the same, what was I doing, you know? It's so much easier than going whatever you wanted to do, right? If you just keep using the same fingers, it's always easier. It sounds cool. But anyway, then Eddie Van Halen does that quite a few times. And this is a side little lesson. What the heck is it? I'm the One. You know, I don't have my my other guitar before the band comes in. Something like that. But anyway, what he's doing is he's just using the same two fingers. 1, 2, 4. So alright, so I give you that riff too. But so he starts here in a C sharp note. Then he repeats the G again. But see, like that's not too bad. That all fits in A. Kind of mixolydian. The C is kind of bluesy, so that's alright. We can get away with that. And then when he gets down to the B string, nothing makes sense because he has an E flat note. Then when he gets down to here, it's major, which really sounds weird. Oops. So, my point is, and Van Halen does this a lot, by the way, but you know, you have to think these things through. And I can guarantee you, Jimmy Page just did it. Hey, put the record button on, guys. Let's do Moby Dick, and said, I'm just gonna, I don't know, let me go like this. I'm sure he thought about it first. What am I gonna do? Because what happens is when you put your fingers all in the same direction on something, you got to think a little bit and say, okay, what's really happening here musically? Like Eddie Van Halen did when he did this. And he said, you know, does it make sense? And the parts that don't make sense musically, are they kind of cool because they really step out of key a little bit, and then they, you know, he steps out of key with an E flat note in the key A, bluesy kind of A, and then he ends up in the major A, you know, A major kind of world, which is really weird. So, yeah, I'm sure Eddie thought about it before he said, hey, that's a kind of cool riff if I use my fingers like that, and I start on the third, which is a C sharp note for like A. he's like, I can get a really cool riff. I can do that anywhere now, right? And he does it in other songs too. But anyway, so, you know, as silly as it sounds, I know we're on Moby Dick, but I'm sure Paige said, you know, if I keep going down like this, you know, that's really dissonant, but does it sound cool? And can I get away with it? Because sometimes even fast you can't get away with it. It's too dissonant. It depends on where your fingers are. But in this case, it works great. So that's a little side note on that one. So this last one is, I'll tell you what it's not, and then I'll tell you what I think it is. It's not this, I believe. Major pentatonic. Why? I'll tell you in a minute. And it's not this. Like bluesy. Like Heartbreaker. What I think it is because I hear his fingers sliding on this. And this, especially, this last riff, I really hear two guitars here. Because when he ends, like, it sounds like two guitars trying to play this. It's almost you can hear, like, other stuff going on. Listen to it. You know, Paige was a really brilliant producer. Let's not forget that. And I'm sure he, you know, come on, think of all the songs he did and all the guitars he put on songs. I mean, he's a freaking genius. So do you really don't think he would put two guitars and say, hey, what does that sound like? You get that really guitar in your face sound when you do that. But of course you have to play it perfectly, which is really hard to do. But if you can get away with it, it really sounds great. It's an interesting effect to put two guitars playing the exact same thing. Because no matter how close you do it, it's hard to make it, you know, perfectly perfect on time. So you always hear a little bit of separation in time, which gives it a cool effect. Almost like a delay, right? Effectively is what it's doing. So what I think this last one is, despite the fact that it's two guitars, is, like I said, it's not the straight major pentatonic. It's not the bluesy one. It's both. I think he goes like this. Hear that? Because I hear the major, the E note, I hear that major pentatonic world, and then I hear the blues note too. I hear both. And up here too as well. And it's probably easiest for his fingers when he gets here, because to do that here, I guess you could go like that, but I hear the major, you know, the E note, and I hear the F note. So I think that's what he did. And you can hear him slurring. You know, I don't hear him going. I hear. Pretty cool, huh? Whoops. And I'm telling you, there's two guitars on that. So he really picks attack that, by the way. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so that's Moby Dick. And thanks for listening, guys. I'm Jim Fuge, guitarbyjimi.com. And there's a lot in that one, you know, that one lesson. There's a lot of good stuff to learn with the blues. Jimmy Page is an awesome guitar player, songwriter, and producer, as usual. Okay, and I'll speak to you. I'll see everybody soon. Thanks again, and good luck with your playing, everybody.